Morning light filled the tall glass towers of Tokyo as another busy day began. Cars moved like small silver fish through the crowded streets, and people hurried toward offices with coffee in their hands. On the top floor of one of those towers stood the headquarters of Matsuda Tech, one of Japan's most respected technology companies. Inside, the air was serious. In a large boardroom, men and women in expensive suits sat around a long table. Each had a tablet or a file open before them. At the head of the table sat the company's CEO, Mr. Kenji Matsuda. He was a tall man in his 50s with neatly combed hair and a sharp mind that missed very little. Normally, he spoke in calm and polite tones, but today his voice carried frustration. On the whiteboard behind him was a complicated equation written across 3 panels. It was filled with numbers, letters, and signs that looked like a secret code to anyone outside the world of finance and technology. That equation represented a $100 million problem the company was facing. One wrong calculation had caused a chain reaction in their global system, putting both investors and the company's reputation at risk. "We have been at this for 2 weeks," said Mr. Matsuda, tapping the board with his marker, "and still no solution. Our engineers are the best in Asia, yet this remains unresolved. How can that be?" The room stayed silent. The head of finance cleared his throat but said nothing. The chief analyst looked down at her laptop, pretending to type. The pressure in the room felt heavy. No one wanted to be the next person to speak. At last, Mr. Matsuda sighed. "If this formula is not corrected soon, we will lose the partnership with Horizon Robotics. That contract alone is worth $100 million. He placed the marker down on the table and looked at his team. "We cannot afford mistakes. I want answers by tomorrow morning." The meeting continued with presentations and charts, but it was clear that no one had a real solution. While all this was happening inside the boardroom, another person was starting her morning quietly in the same building. Her name was Maya Brown, a woman in her early 30s. She worked as a janitor, responsible for cleaning offices, polishing glass walls, and keeping the place spotless before the executives arrived. She wore a plain blue uniform and comfortable shoes. Her dark hair was tied neatly at the back, and her kind eyes noticed everything without saying much. Maya moved silently through the halls with her cleaning cart. She often began her work before sunrise. It gave her peace to walk through the empty building while the city was still waking up. As she cleaned, she listened to the quiet hum of machines and the faint sound of elevators moving. Most people in the company did not know much about her. She was polite, worked efficiently, and never complained. She greeted everyone with a soft "good morning," but rarely stayed for conversation. Yet if anyone had looked closer, they might have seen a quiet intelligence behind her calm smile. What no one at Matsuda Tech knew was that Maya had once been a brilliant mathematics student in the United States. She had earned awards for her research in applied math, and had even started a master's program before her life changed suddenly. When her mother passed away, Maya had to take care of her younger sister. Bills piled up, and she could no longer continue her studies. She left the academic world and took different jobs to survive. Eventually, she moved to Japan hoping for a fresh start, and found work as a janitor at Matsuda Tech. She never spoke of her past because she did not want pity. She believed in dignity through hard work, no matter the uniform. That morning, as she moved through the hallway, she noticed that the boardroom door was slightly open. Inside, the meeting seemed to be wrapping up. Some executives were leaving, others were talking in low voices. She saw spilled coffee near the door, probably from someone's cup during the long discussion. She waited until the room grew quieter, then carefully pushed her cart forward to clean the mess. Inside, Mr. Matsuda was standing near the board, studying the numbers again. He rubbed his forehead, deep in thought. The rest of the team had stepped out, leaving him alone for a moment. Maya knelt quietly near the entrance, wiping the floor. Her eyes moved toward the whiteboard. Something about the pattern of numbers caught her attention. At first, she tried to ignore it and focus on her task, but her brain began to recognize familiar mathematical structures. She saw a formula involving profit ratio, depreciation, and risk factors. Her mind instantly began to calculate relationships. She stood up slowly, still holding the cleaning cloth in her hand. One section of the formula seemed off to her. A minus sign where there should have been a plus, a missing variable that could have balanced the whole equation. Her heart started to beat faster. She had not looked at equations like this in years, yet the logic returned as naturally as breathing. She whispered to herself. That variable can't be negative. Mr. Matsuda turned at once. Excuse me, he said sharply in English. This is a board meeting. Cleaning time is over. Maya froze, realizing she had spoken out loud. She quickly bowed and said, I'm sorry, sir. He frowned slightly, annoyed that the janitor had spoken while he was working. He turned back toward the board, but something about her words stayed in his mind. Negative variable? He looked again at that part of the formula and wondered if she had actually noticed something. He turned again. What did you just say? Maya hesitated. I said, maybe the second variable should not be negative. It changes the slope of your calculation. Mr. Matsuda looked at her, surprised by her choice of words. Most janitors would not even understand the equation, let alone comment on it. You think you can solve this? He asked, half in disbelief. She shook her head politely. No, sir. I just noticed a small thing. I could be wrong. He studied her for a moment. Something in her calm expression made him curious. He picked up the marker and asked, Show me what you mean. Maya looked around nervously. I don't want to interrupt your work. You already did, he said, though his tone was softer now. So go ahead. She stepped closer to the board, careful not to touch anything unnecessary. Holding the marker, she pointed to a section of the equation. Here, sir. You are calculating depreciation as a loss factor, but your third formula already adjusts it for inflation, so this subtraction turns your result negative twice. If you treat this as a positive rate, your outcome becomes stable. Mr. Matsuda blinked. Her explanation was simple yet accurate. It made complete sense. He quickly tested her correction on his tablet. When the numbers appeared on the screen, his eyes widened. The error vanished, and the new calculation matched perfectly with the desired result. He looked at her again, now with genuine surprise. You are right. How did you know that? Maya lowered her eyes. I studied mathematics, sir. A long time ago. He was quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, You just solved a part of the problem that cost us weeks of confusion. She gave a small smile. Sometimes a different angle helps. For a moment, neither spoke. Mr. Matsuda realized how quickly he had judged her. The woman he had just asked to leave the room had seen what his team of analysts had missed. He said slowly, Thank you, Miss Maya, she replied. Thank you, Miss Maya. She nodded and began to leave. As she pushed her cart out, she felt her heart beating fast. She had not meant to speak or draw attention. She had only wanted to help. Mr. Matsuda stood in the boardroom, still holding the marker. His thoughts were racing. A janitor had just corrected his $1,000,000 formula. He looked at the whiteboard again and whispered, Who is she really? Meanwhile, as Maya continued down the hall, other staff passed by her without noticing anything unusual. She moved quietly, just as she always did, but inside she felt something different. For the first time in years, she had touched the world of numbers again. Outside the tall windows, the city kept moving. Tokyo's energy never slowed, but inside the heart of Matsuda Tech, something unexpected had begun. A moment that would soon change not just Maya's life, but the company's future forever. When Maya finished her shift that evening, she walked out of the tall glass building into the cool Tokyo night. The city lights reflected on the wet streets after a short rain. People hurried past her, umbrellas in hand, while she walked slowly, lost in thought. Her mind was still replaying the moment in the boardroom. She had spoken out without meaning to. She had only wanted to clean the floor, not correct her boss's work. But once her eyes saw that equation, her brain had moved on its own, as if it remembered something it had long forgotten. She felt nervous. She hoped she had not caused any trouble. What if the CEO thought she was disrespectful? What if he told her manager that she spoke out of turn? Maya was not someone who liked attention. She preferred peace and order, not drama. At the small apartment she rented near Shibuya, she sat on her bed and looked at the small notebook she always kept in her bag. Inside were old equations and formulas she had written years ago. They were from a different life, a time when she dreamed of being a scientist. She touched the paper softly, feeling both proud and sad. The next morning she woke early again and took the subway to work. She moved through her cleaning schedule quietly. When she reached the top floor, she saw the boardroom door closed. She planned to skip it until the meeting ended, but just as she turned away, a voice called, Miss Maya. She looked up. Mr. Matsuda was standing by the door. He was wearing a dark suit, his usual calm expression replaced by something more thoughtful. He gestured for her to come closer. "I was hoping to see you," he said. "Do you have a few minutes?" Maya nodded politely. "Yes, sir." He opened the door and let her in. The room was empty this time except for a laptop on the table and the whiteboard, now half cleaned from yesterday's meeting. "I checked the numbers again last night," he said. "You were correct. Your correction changed the outcome completely. Our system now works smoothly. You saved us from a serious loss." Maya looked down modestly. "I am happy it helped, sir." He studied her for a moment. "You mentioned that you studied mathematics before. May I ask where?" She hesitated but decided to answer honestly. "In the United States, sir. I was doing research in applied mathematics. But my mother became very sick, and after she passed away, I could not continue. My sister was still young, so I had to work." Mr. Matsuda nodded slowly. "That must have been difficult." "It was," she said softly. "But life gives different paths. I'm thankful I found work here." He smiled faintly. "You are humble, Miss Maya, but your talent should not stay hidden. You saw what a whole team of analysts missed." She shook her head. "I was lucky, sir. Maybe it was just a small mistake anyone could find." "No," he said firmly. "It takes an analytical mind to see that pattern. I remember that equation was reviewed by 10 people. None of them noticed what you did." Maya did not know what to say. She stood quietly, unsure how to react. After a pause, he continued. "Would you be willing to help us again? Only for a short time. I want you to look at a few more models. We are working on a financial risk algorithm, and I think your insight might be useful." She was surprised. "You want me to help?" "Yes," he said simply. "Not as a janitor, but as a consultant, even if temporary. You can come in after your regular work hours if you wish." Maya felt both excited and nervous. It was an opportunity she had not expected, but she also did not want to lose her cleaning job. "If it is all right with my supervisor, I will do my best," she replied. Mr. Matsuda nodded with a small smile. "I will arrange it." That evening she stayed after work. The office was quiet. The city outside glowed like a field of stars through the glass walls. She sat at one of the smaller desks near the boardroom, going through pages of printed equations. For the first time in years, she felt alive in a way she could not describe. The numbers made sense again. She could see patterns forming in her mind, lines connecting ideas that others might miss. Mr. Matsuda came by to check on her progress. He was surprised to see how focused she looked, her eyes following each formula carefully. "You really understand this deeply," he said. She smiled a little. "Numbers have always been my friends. They never lie." He chuckled softly. "That is true." As the hours passed, Maya marked corrections and wrote notes in the margins. When she finished, she placed the pages neatly on the table. This part should work now. The error was in the data distribution. The base numbers needed normalization. Mr. Matsuda looked at the sheets and then at her. "You are remarkable, Miss Maya." She shook her head modestly. "I just love solving puzzles." Over the next few days, her quiet brilliance began to draw attention. A few engineers noticed her sitting with the CEO during late hours. They whispered among themselves, curious about who she was. Some thought she was a data analyst from another department, while others guessed she might be a researcher from a partner firm. No one guessed she was the janitor who cleaned their floors every morning. One afternoon, when she was working on another formula, one of the younger engineers named Hiroshi entered the boardroom. He was surprised to see her there and asked politely, "Excuse me, are you part of the new project?" Maya smiled kindly. "Just helping a little." He looked at her notes and frowned. "These are high-level models. Only our top analysts work on them." Mr. Matsuda entered the room just then. He overheard the conversation and said, "Yes, and she happens to be the reason our system works now." Hiroshi looked embarrassed.
"Oh, I didn't know."
"I'm sorry, ma'am." Maya laughed softly. "No need to apologize. I just enjoy learning." After Hiroshi left, Mr. Matsuda turned to her and said, "You handle people with such grace." "That is a rare strength," she replied. "My mother always told me to stay kind no matter where I stand." The CEO nodded thoughtfully. He had met many intelligent people in his life, but Maya's calm strength felt different. Her intelligence came with humility, and her humility made it shine brighter. As weeks passed, Maya's contribution began to show results. The company's system became more efficient, saving millions in potential loss. Reports began to show positive growth, and investors regained confidence. Mr. Matsuda knew it was time to bring her work to the attention of others. But he also wanted to make sure she was comfortable with it. One morning, he called her to his office. She entered quietly, her uniform still neatly pressed. He offered her tea before speaking. "Maya," he said gently, "I would like to present your work to our board of directors tomorrow. You have helped us more than anyone here realizes." She looked surprised. "Me, sir?" "Yes, you deserve recognition, but I am not a scientist anymore. I only helped with a few corrections." Mr. Matsuda smiled. "You are being modest again. Those few corrections saved this company." She hesitated. "I am not used to such attention." He nodded with understanding. "You do not need to say much. Just be yourself. I will do the speaking." That evening, as she returned home, Maya felt her heart beating faster. She thought about her mother and sister. She wished her mother could see her now. She had always told Maya that talent should never be wasted, no matter where life takes you. The next morning came quickly. The boardroom was filled again, just like the day she first entered it. The same executives who had ignored her before were present, talking in low voices. Mr. Matsuda entered with confidence and asked for silence. "Before we begin," he said, "I want to introduce someone important. This person solved the issue that cost us weeks of struggle and saved this company from a massive loss." The executives looked around, expecting to see a senior engineer. He turned toward the door. "Miss Maya, please come in." Gasps filled the room as she stepped inside wearing her janitor uniform. She stood calmly, her face gentle but firm. Some executives exchanged confused looks. One even whispered, "Is this a joke?" Mr. Matsuda raised his hand. "This is no joke. This woman corrected our financial algorithm and improved our data model. Without her, we would have lost $100 million. The room went silent. The men and women who once ignored her now looked at her with wide eyes. Maya bowed slightly, then said softly, "I only noticed something small. I am glad it helped." An older executive stood up and said, "We are deeply grateful. Your observation saved us." Mr. Matsuda smiled proudly. "Let this be a reminder that true talent can come from anywhere. Respect should never depend on position or title." Maya felt her eyes fill with emotion, but she kept her composure. For the first time in many years, she felt seen not for her job, but for her mind. As the meeting ended, one of the senior analysts approached her and said, "You taught us something greater than numbers." "You taught us humility," she smiled warmly. "We all have something to teach." That day, the entire company began to see her differently. Some employees greeted her with respect. Others shared smiles and small bows in the hallway. But Maya remained the same humble person she had always been. And somewhere inside Mr. Matsuda's heart, a quiet respect had grown into admiration. He had learned that sometimes wisdom enters quietly, carrying a mop instead of a briefcase, and changes everything. After the meeting where Maya was introduced to the board, the story spread through every floor of Matsuda Tech. People whispered about the janitor who solved $1 million equation. Some thought it was impossible. Others said it was luck. And a few believed she was a hidden genius. The story reached even the lower staff who worked in the cafeteria and the maintenance area. Many of them felt proud because Maya represented them. She showed that intelligence and talent could come from anyone, not only from people with titles or high education. Maya herself stayed humble. She continued doing her cleaning work as usual. Every morning she still arrived before sunrise, cleaned offices, and smiled politely at people who passed her in the halls. But now, instead of ignoring her, people greeted her kindly. Some bowed, some smiled, and some thanked her for her work. One morning, while she was cleaning the lobby, the company's HR manager, Mrs. Tanaka, came to her. She was a kind woman in her 40s who had worked at Matsuda Tech for many years. She said warmly, "Maya, Mr. Matsuda asked me to speak with you. He would like you to come to his office today after lunch." Maya nodded politely. "Yes, ma'am." She wondered what it could be about. Maybe he wanted her help again with some formulas. She was happy to do that, but she also felt nervous. Being called to the CEO's office made her heart beat faster each time. When afternoon came, Maya walked to the top floor and knocked gently on the office door. "Come in," said Mr. Matsuda's calm voice. She entered and bowed. "You asked for me, sir?" "Yes," he said, smiling slightly. "Please, have a seat." She sat carefully, her posture straight. The large windows behind him showed a view of Tokyo's skyline. Mr. Matsuda looked at her thoughtfully. Maya, I have been thinking about your situation. You have a great gift. It would be a waste to let that talent remain unused. So I want to offer you a new position. Maya's eyes widened slightly. A position, sir? Yes, he said. We would like to move you from janitorial work to our data department. You would start as a junior analyst. It will come with training and a higher salary. You have already proved that you can handle complex problems. She was speechless for a moment. Sir, I do not know what to say, he smiled. Just say yes if you want it. You have earned it. Maya felt her chest tighten with emotion. She had never expected something like this. I accept, sir, she said softly. Good, said Mr. Matsuda. You will start next week. I will personally assign one of our senior analysts, Hiroshi, to train you. She bowed deeply. Thank you, sir. I will not disappoint you. When she left the office, her heart was full. She walked to the elevator with tears in her eyes, but they were tears of joy. For the first time in years, she felt her hard work and patience had opened a door that had once closed on her. That evening, she called her sister, who lived in another country. Her sister, Amara, answered with a cheerful voice. Maya, it's been so long. How are you? I'm fine, little sister, Maya said warmly. I have news. What is it? I got promoted at work, Amara gasped. Promoted? Maya, that's amazing. I knew you would do something big one day. Maya smiled. It's a small start, but it means a lot. Remember when Mother used to say that our time always comes even if it's late? Yes, Amara said softly. She would be proud of you. Maya felt a lump in her throat. I hope so. The following week she began her new role. Her first day as a junior analyst felt strange. She was wearing an office uniform instead of her cleaning one. She carried a laptop instead of a mop. As she entered the data department, some employees stood up to greet her with smiles. They already knew who she was, the woman who had solved the impossible. Hiroshi, the young engineer who had earlier doubted her, was now assigned as her mentor. He welcomed her kindly. Maya, I'll show you how we handle reports and data models. You already understand the concepts, so I think you'll learn fast. She smiled. Thank you for helping me. They worked side by side for several days. Hiroshi quickly realized that Maya learned faster than most trainees he had seen. She asked sharp questions, made neat notes, and understood systems that usually took months to master. He admired her discipline and patience. During lunch breaks, some colleagues would ask her about her story. One of them said, It's amazing how you saw what others didn't. You must have been very confident to speak up. Maya smiled gently. I wasn't confident. I was scared. But sometimes when you know something is right, you should speak anyway. Her humility touched everyone. She became a quiet inspiration in the office. People who once ignored janitors now began greeting them with respect. Even small gestures of kindness started to spread because of her example. Weeks passed and Maya's new role became permanent. She helped improve the company's data models, and every project she touched became more efficient. Her calm energy made the work environment better for everyone. One day, the company received news that their improved system had attracted new investors. The value of the company rose again. Mr. Matsuda called a meeting and said, We owe this success to teamwork, and to the person who reminded us that wisdom can come from anywhere. Everyone knew he was talking about Maya. They clapped, and she smiled shyly, feeling grateful. Later that evening, Mr. Matsuda called her into his office again. Maya, he said, I want to know what your dreams are now. She thought for a moment. My dream is to finish what I started long ago. I want to complete my studies in mathematics, he nodded. Then we will help you. The company will sponsor your education. You deserve that chance. Maya's eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, sir. That means everything to me, Mr. Matsuda said kindly. You've taught me an important lesson. Sometimes people are judged by their uniforms, not their minds. But you reminded us all to look deeper. Her journey continued with more challenges and achievements. She attended evening classes while still working at Matsuda Tech. Balancing work and study was not easy, but she never complained. Each day she woke up before sunrise, studied late into the night, and still arrived on time to help her team. Her co-workers began to admire her discipline. One of them, a quiet woman named Aiko, said to her during a coffee break, Maya, you make me believe that it's never too late to follow dreams. Maya smiled. It's never too late for anyone. We just have to keep moving, even if it's slow." Her words spread through the office like warmth. People began sharing stories of their own dreams. Some wanted to learn new skills. Others wanted to help their families more. Maya's presence had changed the company's culture from the inside. Months later, Matsuda Tech held a special event to celebrate its success. The entire staff gathered in a decorated hall. Mr. Matsuda stood on stage to give a speech. He spoke about progress, innovation, and teamwork. Then he said, "There is one person who reminds us that true intelligence has no boundaries. She came here quietly, worked humbly, and ended up saving us all." He called her name. "Miss Maya, please come forward." Everyone clapped as Maya walked to the stage. Her heart pounded, but she kept her smile calm. Mr. Matsuda handed her a small golden plaque that read, "For outstanding contribution and excellence in innovation." The applause grew louder. Some people even stood to show respect. When it was her turn to speak, Maya looked at the crowd and said softly, "I never imagined standing here. I came to this company to clean floors, not to solve problems. But I have learned that life always finds a way to surprise us. Every person has value no matter what they do. Respect is the seed that makes all good things grow." The audience fell silent for a moment before giving her another round of applause. Many had tears in their eyes. That night, as she walked home under the soft city lights, Maya felt peace in her heart. She knew her journey was far from over, but she had already come so far from where she started. Tokyo's streets shimmered with reflections of neon signs and passing cars. She looked at the tall tower of Matsuda Tech glowing in the distance and whispered a quiet thank you to her mother, to her sister, and to every struggle that led her there. She had walked into that building as a janitor, but now she was walking into her destiny. Maya's life had changed more than she ever imagined. From a quiet janitor cleaning empty offices to a respected data analyst, her days were now filled with new lessons, meetings, and responsibilities. Yet even with her success, she never lost her humble heart. She still greeted everyone kindly, including the janitors, guards, and cleaners. Every morning, she arrived early and shared small words of encouragement with those who worked silently. Many of them admired her not only for her intelligence but also for her kindness. They saw in her a reminder that dreams could come true even in unexpected ways. But success also brought new challenges. Some people in the company respected her deeply, while others still found it difficult to accept how a former janitor could now be part of the same meetings as them. One day, during a project meeting, a senior engineer named Kenta made a sarcastic comment. "Maybe Maya should clean the data the same way she used to clean the floors," he said, trying to sound clever. The room went silent. Everyone looked uncomfortable. Maya kept her calm expression. She looked at Kenta and said softly, "I believe cleaning, whether it's floors or data, requires patience and care. Both must be spotless for the work to shine." Her calm answer left him speechless. The others looked impressed. Hiroshi smiled proudly from across the table. After the meeting, many people told her how much they admired the way she handled the situation. That evening, Hiroshi met her near the elevator and said, "You were amazing today. You handled that with more strength than most would." Maya smiled. "I don't want to fight anyone. I just want to do good work." Her simple words showed her maturity. Weeks turned into months, and Maya's projects continued to bring success to Matsuda Tech. The company's profits grew, and the systems she designed helped reduce major losses. Because of her ideas, Matsuda Tech was invited to an international technology conference in Singapore. Mr. Matsuda wanted her to come along. "Maya," he said one afternoon, "I want you to join me at the conference. You will present your work to the international board." Maya looked surprised. "Me, sir?" "Yes," he said with a confident smile. "You have earned this. I want the world to see what real talent looks like." She hesitated for a moment. "I've never spoken at such an event before." Mr. Matsuda replied kindly, "You have already spoken to hearts. That is more powerful than any speech. You'll do fine." The following weeks were busy with preparation. Hiroshi helped her design slides, and Mrs. Tanaka helped her with her presentation style. She practiced every day after work, sometimes late into the night. Her confidence grew slowly, built on determination and faith. When the day of the conference arrived, Maya felt nervous but ready. She wore a simple professional suit, and her calm eyes reflected quiet strength. The hall in Singapore was grand, filled with hundreds of professionals from different countries. As Mr. Matsuda introduced her, many people whispered, recognizing her story. The tale of the janitor who solved a $100 million equation had already reached far corners of the world. Maya stepped onto the stage and looked at the audience. Her hands trembled slightly, but she took a deep breath. Then she began to speak. She spoke clearly, explaining how small observations led to big discoveries. She used simple examples that made even the most complex parts easy to understand. She told them how every problem had a pattern, just like life itself. If one looks carefully, solutions always appear. By the time she finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then came the sound of clapping. First soft, then louder and louder until the entire hall stood in applause. Mr. Matsuda looked proud. Hiroshi smiled from the side of the stage. Maya bowed respectfully. It was one of the proudest moments of her life. After the presentation, several company leaders approached her to congratulate her. Some offered her job opportunities, but she politely declined, saying, "I'm happy where I am. Matsuda Tech gave me my chance. I want to grow there." That night, as she stood on the balcony of her hotel room overlooking the lights of Singapore, she remembered her mother's words again, that every struggle carries its own blessing. When they returned to Japan, the company celebrated her success. Newspapers wrote articles about her, calling her the mind that shone through hard work. But Maya did not let the fame distract her. She still focused on learning, improving, and helping others. However, soon came another turning point in her life. One day, while reviewing financial data, Maya noticed irregularities in the company's system. There were numbers that didn't add up, and certain transactions seemed hidden. She double-checked and realized something serious. Someone had been stealing money from within the system. She hesitated. It was a sensitive issue. If she was wrong, it could cause trouble. But if she stayed silent, it could damage the company she cared about. That night, she stayed late in the office, checking every line of code and data until she was certain. The next morning, she went straight to Mr. Matsuda's office. "Sir, I need to speak with you privately," she said. He looked concerned. "What is it, Maya?" "I think someone is manipulating the financial data. I've traced the pattern. It's hidden inside the export system." Mr. Matsuda's face turned serious. "Are you sure?" "Yes, sir. I spent the whole night verifying." He called the head of cybersecurity immediately, and within hours they confirmed Maya's discovery. It turned out that one of the senior financial officers had been quietly diverting company funds into secret accounts. The news shocked everyone. The officer was dismissed, and the company avoided a major loss. Mr. Matsuda later told the board, "If not for Maya, we would have lost millions again. She not only saved us once but twice. Her honesty earned her even more respect." Later, in a quiet moment, Mr. Matsuda said to her, "Maya, you've done more for this company than most people who have worked here their whole lives. What drives you to do all this?" She smiled softly. "I just do what feels right. I can't look away from problems when I see them." He nodded. "That's what makes you special." After that, Maya was promoted again, this time to a senior data strategist. Her salary increased, but more importantly, she earned full trust and authority in the company. She began mentoring new employees, teaching them not only about data but also about integrity and teamwork. One of her students, a young man named Riku, once asked her, "How did you stay strong when people looked down on you?" Maya said, "Blue strength doesn't mean fighting back. It means standing firm and letting your work speak louder than your pain." Those words stayed with him for years. Time passed, and Maya's influence reached beyond the company. She started visiting schools to speak about her journey, telling students about the value of patience, respect, and education. Her speeches were simple, but they touched hearts. Many young people felt inspired by her words. One day she visited a small school in her old neighborhood. The students there were shy and their classrooms were old. Maya stood before them and said, "When I was your age, I wanted to learn but didn't have the chance. I had to wait many years to study again. Don't wait. Learn everything you can now. Education is the key that opens every locked door." The children listened closely. Some teachers wiped tears from their eyes. After the visit, Maya donated computers and books to the school, asking the principal not to reveal her name. She wanted the gift to come quietly, just as her journey had begun. Meanwhile, Matsuda Tech continued to grow. and Maya's name became a symbol of hope. Mr. Matsuda often told new employees, "If you ever feel like your position doesn't matter, remember Maya. Every person has something special to give." Years later, the company launched a new scholarship program under her name, the Maya Scholars Initiative, which supported students from humble backgrounds who wanted to study science and technology. When the program was announced, Maya stood beside Mr. Matsuda on stage. She looked at the crowd and said, "Dreams don't belong to the rich or the powerful. They belong to those who never stop believing." The audience clapped warmly. That night, she sat by her window at home, watching the city lights once again. She thought about her past, the mop in her hand, the empty hallways she cleaned, the fear she once felt when told to leave the boardroom. Life had taken her from that moment to this one, where she was now shaping the future of others. Her journey had not been easy, but it had been meaningful. And in her heart, she knew that the greatest reward was not fame or money. It was knowing she had stayed true to herself, even when the world doubted her. Years passed, and Maya's story became a part of Matsuda Tech's history. Her name was not just remembered as the woman who solved a big equation, but as the person who changed the way people looked at others. The company had grown into one of the most trusted names in Japan's technology world. Their new systems were used in countries around the world. Inside the building, a framed photograph of Maya hung in the main lobby with a quote beneath it: "Respect every mind, no matter where it comes from." Maya still worked at the company, but her role had grown far beyond data. She now led a special division called Innovation for All, a department that focused on giving opportunities to people from humble backgrounds. She believed that genius could be hidden anywhere, even in those who never had the chance to study. Every year, she helped select young talents through the Maya Scholars Initiative, the program that Mr. Matsuda had named after her. It became her mission to help others the way life had helped her. One afternoon, she was sitting in her office reviewing scholarship applications when she received a message from Mr. Matsuda's assistant. It said, "Mr. Matsuda would like to see you in the boardroom at 3. She smiled softly. That room held many memories for her. It was the same boardroom where years ago she had been asked to leave and then, minutes later, had changed everything with her mind and courage. When she entered, she found Mr. Matsuda sitting near the window looking out at the city. His hair was now gray, and his face carried the wisdom of many years. He turned to her with a gentle smile. "Maya," he said, "do you remember the day I told you to leave this room?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. I remember every moment," he sighed. "I have thought about that day many times. It taught me one of the greatest lessons of my life, that true worth is never shown by appearance or position." She smiled kindly. "That day taught me courage, sir. If you had not challenged me, I would never have spoken." He looked at her with deep respect. "I am proud of what you have become. You have made this company stronger, wiser, and kinder." They talked for a long time, sharing memories of the early days and how much had changed. Then Mr. Matsuda said quietly, "I will be retiring soon. I want you to know something. I am recommending you to become the next Director of Innovation." Maya looked surprised.
"Sir, me?"
"Yes," he said. "You are the best person for this position. You have vision, patience, and integrity. And above all, you understand people." Her eyes filled with emotion. "I don't know what to say," he smiled. "You don't have to say anything. Just keep doing what you've always done. Lead with heart." After that meeting, Maya sat quietly in the park near the office. The cherry blossom trees were in full bloom. She watched the pink petals fall slowly to the ground, feeling grateful for every turn her life had taken. That evening, she walked through the same building where she had once cleaned floors. She greeted the janitors and staff warmly, just like before. One of them, a young woman named Lena, looked up to her with admiration. "Maya-san," Lena said shyly, "you are my inspiration. I'm studying part-time too. I want to learn data analysis one day." Maya smiled and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You can do it. I started from the same place. Keep learning and never give up." Those words gave Lena hope. Weeks later, the news of Maya's promotion spread across the company. Everyone congratulated her. They all knew she deserved it. During her first meeting as Director of Innovation, she stood before her team and said, "We will keep building not only systems, but also people. A company grows strong when every person inside it feels seen and valued. Her words inspired a new spirit in the office. Employees began mentoring others, sharing ideas, and working as a family. But Maya's journey did not stop there. She began traveling to other countries to share her story at universities and conferences. Her talks were not about formulas or numbers. They were about faith, respect, and perseverance. At one event in London, a student asked her, "How did you stay strong when people looked down on you?" Maya replied gently, "I reminded myself that my value does not depend on what others see. It depends on what I know about myself. As long as you keep doing your best, time will prove your worth." Her speech touched thousands of listeners. Many people wrote to her later, saying her words gave them courage to continue their own journeys. Meanwhile, back in Tokyo, Matsuda Tech kept growing. The new generation of leaders often mentioned Maya's story during training sessions for young employees. It became part of the company's tradition to share how respect could change everything. One day, Maya received a call from her sister Amara. "Maya," she said excitedly, "I'm coming to visit you next month." Maya smiled. "That's wonderful. It's been so long." When Amara arrived, she was amazed to see the life her sister had built. They visited the city together, sharing laughter and stories of their childhood. Amara said, "I always knew you would make a difference. You never stopped believing even when life was hard." Maya held her sister's hand and said, "I didn't walk alone. Every kindness, every lesson, every struggle guided me here." One evening, Maya took her sister to see the Matsuda Tech building. When they entered, employees greeted Maya with respect. Amara looked around proudly and whispered, "You used to clean these halls and now they shine because of you." Maya smiled quietly. "No, they shine because we all learned to see light in each other." After Amara left, Maya focused on expanding the scholarship program. She wanted it to reach beyond Japan. She partnered with universities in Africa, India, and Southeast Asia to give opportunities to students who could not afford education. Her dream was to help 1,000 young minds find their own path. Every time she read letters from students thanking her for changing their lives, she felt tears of joy. One letter from a young boy said, "I was going to quit school, but your story made me stay. Now I want to become an engineer like you." Maya kept that letter on her desk as a reminder that even one act of courage can echo forever. A few years later, Mr. Matsuda retired and held a farewell ceremony. Maya stood beside him as he gave his final speech. He said, "When I first met Maya, I failed to see her worth. But life gave me the chance to correct that mistake. Today, she represents everything this company stands for: wisdom, kindness, and equality." The entire room stood to applaud. Maya helped Mr. Matsuda step down from the stage and he whispered, "Promise me you will keep this spirit alive." She nodded. "I promise, sir." After his retirement, Maya became one of the most respected leaders in the company. But she remained the same simple person who smiled at everyone and believed in small acts of goodness. Years passed peacefully. The world continued to change, technology kept advancing, and the story of the janitor who solved the $100 million equation became a legend told in schools, books, and documentaries. One day, a journalist came to interview her. He asked, "Maya, when you look back, what do you think was the most important moment of your life?" Maya thought for a while and said, "The moment I decided not to walk away. That day, in the boardroom when I was told to leave, I could have gone. But I stayed, not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove to myself that I had something to give. That one decision changed everything." The journalist smiled. "What advice would you give to others who feel unseen or unappreciated?" She answered, "Never let someone's opinion decide your value. Keep learning, keep believing, and keep showing kindness. One day the world will notice your light." Her words appeared in newspapers and online articles around the world. Millions of people read them and felt inspired. Many years later, when Maya finally retired, Matsuda Tech held a grand farewell ceremony for her. The hall was decorated with flowers and people from all levels of the company attended, from board members to cleaners. Mr. Matsuda, now older but still strong, came to see her. "You built more than a career," he said warmly. "You built a legacy." As she looked around the room filled with faces she had touched, Maya felt a deep peace in her heart. She stepped onto the stage and said, "I came here as a janitor, but I leave as a student of life. I learned that no work is small and no person is less. What matters is how much love and honesty we bring to what we do. The room filled with applause. Many had tears in their eyes. That evening, as she left the building for the last time, Maya paused in the hallway and looked at her reflection in the glass door. She saw not the woman who started at the bottom, but the woman who rose with grace. She smiled and whispered to herself, "Thank you, life, for everything." Outside, the city lights glowed softly, and the wind carried the scent of cherry blossoms once again. Somewhere in the night sky, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, just like the light Maya had left behind in every heart she touched. And though her time at Matsuda Tech ended, her story continued to inspire people across the world. A story of courage, humility, and the endless power of believing in oneself.